Hey, what's up, everybody? On this episode of Drinks with Johnny, I am joined by Jeff of the U's. How you doing over there, brother?
Great, man. How about you?
I'm good. You know, just living that quarantine life. I'm hunkered down here in Huntington Beach, California. I know you're out there in Hawaii at your place, right?
Yeah, just hanging out.
So
being in the sun.
Yeah, you've been living out there, kind of off the grid for quite a while. Like, how has this new pandemic really changed your life?
I'm kind of an introvert, and I'm kind of I don't say loner is maybe not the right word, but I was an only child growing up, so I'm used to not being around people, you know?
Okay.
So this for me is I'm really just hanging out with my wife and my dog, and not much has changed as far as that goes, you know?
That's awesome. Yeah, I figured when I hear, you know, you're going to have to do a Zoom from your phone because you don't have Wi-Fi at your house. I was like, well, then the pandemic probably hasn't changed much for him.
Yeah. Wi-Fi, don't get me wrong. But.
Yeah, no. But it looks like you're in a gorgeous place there. I mean, I'm only able to see this via Zoom, as they said.
Oh, yeah, it's cozy.
Yeah, man. So let's get into the new record, man. Heartwork. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, we put a lot of work into this one. I mean,
when were you tracking this record? I mean, I know you've probably this is the first release from Canyon, right? That was in 2017.
Yeah. After that record, we kind of went through a little bit. We got a new guitar player, you know, things changed it up. I would say we did about a year and maybe a little over a year and a quarter of writing.
Okay.
And we wouldn't like straight write, you know, of course. We would write on tour and then we'd come back, and he had a little studio at his house. So we'd meet up in LA and then go down to his house because he has all the studio gear. Yeah. And we'd jam at his place and kind of figure out a couple ideas. And then we decided we're going to record with Feldman.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you about that because this is the first time you've worked with Feldman since, what was it, like the second record? Trying to blank on it now.
And Love and Death. Yeah, no worries.
Love and Death. I know these things are just, you know, draw a blank. It's all good.
No, it's all good. Dude, I don't, honestly, if we go through song titles, I probably wouldn't remember most of our song titles. Just, it happens, you know what I mean?
I'm the same way with Avenged. Yeah. Like, someone asked me, what was the name of that record? I'm like, I honestly don't know.
I don't know, dude. Yeah. We actually worked with Feldman, I think the one before the Canyon.
Oh, okay.
Which, again, I'm drawing a blank on the title of that right now, but yeah, we worked with him on and off, you know, and so this time going back in, we had all this, we were prepared, right? We had all these songs that we were excited about, and we got in the studio and we decided to scrap it all and just start over, which is kind of scary. Yeah,
that's super scary. You scrapped the whole thing? Whose idea was that? Did you guys just like come in and Feldman was just like, it's not there?
No, I think it was just the vibe. You know, when we went back in with Feldman again, there was this weird, because we were talking about, we've recorded Feldman a lot, and after that last record, I can go to details about that last record. It was crazy. It took us like months to record that record. And it was really skimming through it really quick. All the drums were not to a click, so the whole record wasn't to a click. There was a delay on the snare, so the songs kind of breathed. You know, it's how we did it with Ross Robinson. Ross Robinson is awesome. He's one of the coolest dudes you'll ever meet.
Oh, dude, I'll definitely reach out to him.
God, he is so cool, man. But recording without a click track was interesting. I'm not the greatest at click. It's not my thing. I didn't grow up with click, that, you know, practicing click. But anyway, recording with a delay to the snare, sets a click. You know what I mean? It's like you know, so it kind of breathes and it'll flow in and out depending how the drummer plays. So it lets the song have a little bit more soul to it. So it was anyway, we don't need to talk about that record, but the point of that is...
no, let's get into all of it, man. I've got you here for a while. I know you ain't got nothing better to do.
I don't have shit to do. I got to mow. After recording that, I mean, we put a lot of effort into that record. We got all these backup singers. There were some crazy people too, some backup singers that we had. One of the dudes was in the Temptations.
Wow.
Wild. Yeah, there was some wild people in the studio at that time.
That's super cool.
But the record really didn't fully get finished, I would say. Okay. And then there was some other, we just ran out of time. We were trying to do too much, I think is what it was. And so we didn't fully get finished with vocals, which is the weirdest thing ever. But
you would never know. I would never know that, like listening to that record, that like it just wasn't finished. It's like, we ran out of time. Let's put it out there.
too many things got allocated to things that shouldn't have been
Gotcha.
allocated to. If that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. Well, real quick though, like you touched on that one, and then this one gets scrapped right before you go into or right as you get to the track lane portion, which for me, I wouldn't even know what to do with that, like all the preparation going up. I mean, I don't know what your guys' process is, but us as Avenged, we demo everything out to such detail that when we go into the studio to lay down the track, it's more or less 99% done, and we're just making the quality of the sound a little
That's
different.
awesome. I love that. We've done that before, but I don't know. We also just like to experiment in a way, like that. Like we've been extremely prepared for some records, and some records we've had hardly any preparation. And this one we wanted to do that hardly any preparation because we felt in like a magical place. I mean, that's kind of a cheesy word to use, like some kind of wizardry, but we were there and we felt good and we were like vibing, and we were with Feldman again, but this time with Feldman it felt like we were coming back to like a family member. It was different. It was like returning to like a long lost brother or something. I mean, I don't have a brother, but you know what I'm saying. Close as I can get.
Yeah, I mean, you know the analogy though. I mean, it's okay to use analogies. You don't have to know everything.
Yeah. This time going to the studio, it was really interesting. We kind of just let things be. We'd come up with an idea, like somebody guitar line, vocal line, bass line, drum line, just some idea that we would have as like a structure part, right? And then around that, we would kind of blend it together with other ideas, like sort of what's to say? What am I saying here? Kind of losing my train of thought a little bit. Sorry. Sorry.
At least you did that spin on your phone, so it makes it all make sense somehow.
It all makes sense now. Anyway.
So you're saying like you start with like a bass or drum part a lot of the times here, and then you're starting to blend with probably some guitar ideas, or is
yeah. So we'd come up with a basic structure off of whatever idea we have, like adding like a drum loop or just some other kind of loop to, some kind of melody loop to have the song go through. And then we'd kind of pick and choose parts through there. It was kind of just ad-libbing until we fit what needs to be there. It's kind of like starting in the middle of a song almost,
Okay.
And then once we had parts that were solid, we tried to get vocals done. And this is the cool thing on this record, is that everybody was just throwing out ideas for every part, bass lines, guitar lines, like drum lines, vocal lines, like words. Like we were just spewing shit out as a whole, like let's focus on the individual and more focus on the entire,
Is it, and this is the first time you guys done a writing process like this?
We've done some similar ideas, to where we've gone in the studio before and just kind of jammed it and kind of come up with, I think this way is a lot better, just being as a whole and everybody coming together and recording a record as, I mean, of course we're a group and we're a band, but coming together as a group that way,
Yeah, well, I tend to find, and it's the same in Avenged for certain albums, there's usually one or two main writers for that said record, and then everyone kind of hones in closer to the end. Have you guys gone through that process before too, or have you always been the kind of band that writes, pretty much 100% together?
It's changed. There's been times in the past where someone will come with a majority of an idea, but they won't have the ability to play like the drum line or expand on the bass line or like the melody, you know what I mean? Like the vocal melody. So Bert's usually, as far as our band goes, Bert's like the king of melodies and the king of lyrics. And because he's obsessed with like lyrical content and like vocals and words, he's obsessed with that idea and tying them together, and I'm not. So I'll put my 2 cents in, but I'm not going to have the same pull he would as far as that goes.
Yeah. And it's been working. So why mess with it?
Yeah. Why mess with it? Yeah.
No,
that's as far as like, as far as like ideas for other instruments, like Bert's really good at piano. So he's good at knowing where like bass or like guitar should go, or like sort of tying that together, and I can't play piano at all. I can pass as like messing around on it, but you know what I'm saying? I don't have that knowledge.
I got a piano in my house that I'm pretty sure like I go over and play like Lizzo on it real quick, and that's
which is fun. I love Lizzo, so that's cool.
It's the only thing I can transcribe. It's pretty basic, right?
yeah, I'm the same. Yeah.
So let's dive into like a little bit of bass player to bass player thing here on specifically on the new record. Dude, congratulations on this thing. You guys, I think it's one of the best, albums you guys have put out, to be.
Oh, dude, I really appreciate that, honestly, man.
Yeah, it's super cool. Let's just go through the kind of track by track almost. The first couple of songs are solid. They're energetic. They're you're what you would want when you first throw on a used record. And then when it really starts to get interesting for me is probably it's the third song. I have it pulled up right here, just so that I don't mess up with the wrong names here. But
so I'm gonna mess those up too. Actually.
Yeah, but like the third track is Big, the Wannabe track.
Okay.
And there's a bass part in there that kind of reminds me of like a Flea-esque thing. There's like the 16th notes going.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And it's just kind of dancing around a little bit. How did that song come up, and what do you use as inspiration, I guess, is what I'm asking for bass lines? Because you've always been an incredible bass player. I've always noticed that since we did Warped Tour together those many years ago. So, I mean, and I think every record that I've heard you do, you expand upon your bass playing from the last record. It's never the same. Like, even as good as you are, it's getting better and better each time. Do you feel that's the same way? Or?
That's goosebumps. I don't know if you can see them right there. I really appreciate that.
I really
that's
mean
really
it.
nice, man. Yeah, I practice a lot. Like I said, I'm a nerd. I'm a loner. So there's only a few things in life I'm really good at. Being alone is one of them. Maybe the other.
Crushing quarantine.
Yeah, no, really though. Everybody's like home, like, get me out of here. I'm like, well, do I have to?
That's awesome.
But,
so you play a lot. You're sitting around noodling a lot, trying to. I mean, do you look to other bass players, contemporary ones that like you're like, oh, that's really cool. I need to add that to my repertoire, or is it more just this is who I am and this is how I'm going to play?
It's a little bit of both. I taught myself most of my life. I taught myself, and which is good and bad. I think you need to really understand yourself and how you play and how your body works. You know what I mean, as far as a musician goes. But lessons are good to understand the basics and to even broaden the basics, So lately I've been kind of getting deeper into like stuff I should have known like 20 years ago, which is, it's good and bad. I think it's good, but.
No, that's probably good. That sounds like a lesson I should probably take too before we get the next record.
Dude, we'll talk. We'll talk later. I'll give you some ideas.
All right, cool. Yeah, give me some
we should trade. We should trade bass ideas too, which I'd appreciate.
Yeah, let's do it. We could even do it right now while we're no. Let's move on. Talk a little bit more about the record.
Dude, as far as inspirations go, I look to like a lot of just ideas. Like I like James Jamerson, who's probably one of my favorite bass players of all time. Mm-hmm. He's that soul background. He's got that. I like repeating patterns of stuff. Like. What am I thinking of? I forget his name. The dude that played for James Brown for so many years. Okay. Like, I love James Brown. I love that rad. Kind of like.
It's funny you mentioned that, and you could hear it specifically on this record. I could hear a lot of R&B influence when you like break everything down. Like the note choice and the rhythm is it's awesome. I love R&B bass playing too. I mean, I love R&B period. I love all music, but like, I think that's a huge pickup right there.
Have you ever listened to like Afro-Cuban? Like there's this dude that's one of my favorites. His name's Ebo Taylor.
Okay. I'm not familiar.
Yeah. Oh man, he put out a record called Love and Death, which is funny because we have one called In Love and Death, and there's no relation to it at all. It just
happens.
Really interesting. I even had that record on at my wedding. I was so obsessed with it.
That's rad. That's super cool. Well, let's take it down a couple that.
Yeah.
Then. After Wannabe, you got this track that has what I describe as an earbender moment. And I think it's Wow, I Hate This Song, which I absolutely love, by the way.
Nice.
That song is just, awesome. The lyrical content on it, too, is obviously hilarious. But then the musicality in the song, like I said, you got that earbender moment where it drops down to like a dropped A, I believe. Is that an A? Or
Yeah,
I
think it is. Yeah, I think it's an A. Yeah, it's a baritone, and we tuned it down, so it's a down-tuned baritone.
It's a down-tuned baritone? Oh, shit.
Yeah, I think it's heavy, an A. Yeah.
It drops, but then the melody somehow stays similar to the rest of the song. Like, it's still super poppy, but then you got this really heavy drop tune. I don't know. I thought it like bends my ear that when I hear it, like every time for the first like couple of seconds, I'm like, whoa. And then it comes in. Did you ever have that when you guys were first putting that together? Or did it sound normal to you? You're just like, oh yeah, that's where it needs to go. It
was our guitar player that just, I can't remember exactly how it happened, but what I'm remembering right now, I think I remember, is Bert wanted to do some kind of major melody over a minor melody kind of a thing, to where it was like how that la 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 la, it kind of goes up and kind of it keeps positive, and you're thinking it's a positive thing, but then there's this negative dark undertone to it.
Yeah.
And Joey picked up a guitar. He was just playing a riff over it. And then we put that baritone and plugged it in, and he tuned it down to like you're saying, like A sharp or A, I can't remember, and played that riff over it. And we're like, that's it, dude. That's so dark,
Yeah.
I think he recorded quickly too. It was like one take of, oh yeah, that's it. Let's keep that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I that was a moment when I was listening through for the first time. I was like, that's fucking awesome, because you hear it. It is the major over the minor. We've done that a couple of times in Avenged too. And the first couple of times you do it, it's kind of like, oh, this is weird. Like it doesn't sound normal,
Yeah, is that right? Should we be doing that? If you know the rules, you can break them. So
Yeah, I mean that goes back to like taking lessons and actually learning your instrument a little bit. I was self-taught too. I still am, obviously, and I haven't gone back to learn too much. Like I know enough to name notes, but that's
dude, you're rocking though. That's what matters. You're putting your heart into it. You're putting your soul into it. And you're rocking. That's
dude.
Awesome.
It's fun. It's really fun. Okay, then we get into the next time when I went wow on the record listening through is the Cathedral.
Okay.
Then all of a sudden you got these heavy songs with these awesome melodies, and then you drop something that sounds like it should be on the Weeknd's record. How did that song come about? What was the idea there?
The Weeknd one, is that the almost Jamiroquai sounding?
Yeah, the Cathedral Bell. Cathedral Bell is what it's called.
Oh, Cathedral Bell. Yeah, Cathedral Bell might be my favorite song on the record, honestly. And I don't know if there's bass on it. I know we recorded, at least I recorded bass over the synth, because it's a synth doing the like that downscale thing. I recorded bass over it just in case, but
not sure if they
I don't think it's needed. That synth part kind of drives it, and it kind of, I don't know what we're gonna do live. I'm gonna have to figure that out. But
you're gonna have to get you're gonna have to be one of those bass players that can have the little sub synth you could play with your right hand over here.
There you go. Or get just like a 1 octave guitar, and we're at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a million things you could do, or you could just take a break during that song. That's what I do. We have a song Fiction, and it doesn't have any bass in it, and I just stand in the back and hang out and listen.
That's the best part. Go somewhere, get a drink.
Yeah, especially you as an introvert. I'm sure you just love that.
Oh, totally.
You did just mention a drink. Are you still drinking? I know Bert stopped drinking many years ago.
Yeah, Bert stopped like 7 years ago, which is one of the best things that's ever happened to him as far as that. As far as me, last time I drank was Christmas, and I just haven't since then.
Oh, okay. It hasn't been, but you didn't necessarily seem to have any kind of problems with it or anything. It was just kind of like, when I want it,
Yeah, right now I'm just over it.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Either way.
I never really go through the completely over it thing, but I set some boundaries here and there. That's my way to go.
I like that. I appreciate that, It's almost like I've been drinking in so long now, I don't know when I'm going to do it again, It's like,
I don't know if it ever is going to sound like a good idea again. You actually probably feel good. Your skin's probably all healthy and shit. Like,
oh, I feel awesome, man. I feel great.
Don't rub it in, Jeff.
Oh, dude, you don't even know. You'd never believe it.
There was another song that I wanted to ask about a bass part too, and then we'll get into these
Okay.
featured things that I didn't see.
Yeah.
There's a song that it's 1984, I believe, and at the very end, there's just this one chord progression that lasts about like 10 seconds, and it's very like R&B meets GNR, Use Your Illusions too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's like a piano part, right?
Yeah, it's like a
That
piano
has-
part, and you have this really. I love, the rest of the time you're super busy on the bass. A lot of times on most of your records, you're super busy, which I love busy bass playing. And then on this one, it's not only is that, it's also extremely tasty too. And this part stuck out to me because I was like, oh, that was like 10 seconds. I want to hear some more of that, like because. Your note choice was so rad. It was like a little mini bass solo almost.
Oh yeah, awesome. Yeah, man, I love that part. That part almost didn't make it. I think as a whole, it kind of came around. I was hearing it in my head because that ending part. We did a couple of those. There's a couple of enders that are just like piano and vocals, and actually the two songs that made the record that are just like snippet. They're like in between songs, like interludes, or I don't know what you'd call it.
Yeah,
those used to be.
Yeah.
Those were full songs at one point. We actually
Really?
cut those down just to be those interludes because the rest of the songs suck. But
Well, that's a good little tidbit for the kids at home who are learning to write. If you're honest with yourself and you have 1 minute of a good song and 3 extra minutes of dog shit, just make it an interlude.
yeah, it worked out. We could have kept rehashing it and try to fix the song, but the parts were so tasty, we just wanted to leave it. And we really like this idea of like just like a part C. You have like a song and then all of a sudden another part that comes in that's the vocals and the melody maybe are the same, but the music is so different, And that part came around with me just sitting down on my bass while we were playing the piano part and trying to get vocals down. I heard that melody. And so then when I finally had it, I went up and recorded it when it was my turn or whatever. And it turned out to fit.
It comes it definitely comes out of nowhere and it's gone as soon as it's there. But for me, I was just like, wow, that was beautiful. That was beautiful, man.
I appreciate that.
So then, before we hit the record button, I was telling you that our mutual friend Sean, which the last time we saw each other was at his wedding, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That was like 2 years ago now, man.
Was it? It was.
I think
Holy
so.
shit.
Yeah. So that's your manager and one of my really good friends, and he sent me over the record before it came out, and I was listening to it, and then I didn't know that there was these extra tracks at the end that were going to be released. He didn't send me those, so I'm a little ill-prepared on those. But you want to go through those real quick? I mean, you got guys from Blink on there, and what are those songs vibes like? Were those some just extra content, kind of stuff that didn't fit with the rest of the songs necessarily, or you just wanted to have some special shit with some friends?
It was just kind of random, honestly. We got Blow Me, which had Jason from Fever 3.
Okay, perfect. All right, yeah, Blow Me is the second song on the record that has Jason Allen Butler on.
Yeah, and Jason's awesome. Him as a human being, he's a stand-up human being. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Him as a person, he's a great like a great singer, great vocalist, so much energy. I could kiss his ass all day, but he's fucking awesome, And
That's
having
so cool.
him come down was kind of random. It was like we had a part for a song that was open, and we felt like it needed something heavy or something gritty to it, like vocally. And so John even mentioned it. John's like, "What about Jason? Have Jason come down." We're like, "Oh yeah, dude! Like that's perfect, right?" He came down, wrote his own lyrics, blasted that part out in like an hour, like scream. I've never heard. And the weird thing about him is he did all the screamy, heavy stuff first, and then did singy stuff after. Normally blow people's voices.
Yeah.
He was screaming his ass off, and then did all the singing parts. But his voice was perfect. It was really crazy to see.
That's super interesting. Yeah, I've never seen that before. Every time it's
Right?
You got to sing all the clean stuff first, and then go blow it out at the end.
Not with him. No, it's crazy. He's got
That's
some
wild.
lines. After that, we did. Let's see. I'll do the one we did. Travis Barker came down and jammed with us, and that one actually the bass tone on that song is my favorite tone for clean tone on bass that I've had in a long time.
Oh, dude!
I like
again. Now I got to check it out. I feel like
I like a really round because I I'm really particular about my bass tone, and it's not what most people like. I do, which is odd for a lot of people because they want that like that crisp brightness, and I'm trying to kill that crisp brightness. You know, I want like a round pop. If I'm making sense, I'm probably making sense to you, but people that don't play bass are like,
it's only going to be bass players that watch this one, so it's got like 5 people are going to watch this one.
Yeah, totally.
No, but it makes sense to me. Yeah, I absolutely, and I love it. How are you getting that tone? What bass are you using? What amp? What preamp? What are you using these days?
You know, it's changed a lot. Minus one thing, I use Aguilar's amps, and I've used Aguilar for like 15 years probably, and I've used the same different types of strings, but I've used the same company, DR. I've used them for like 15 years too. But
okay,
my evolution to like flat wound was over like almost accidental. Like I started playing like coated strings for a while, and I was just trying to deaden my tone every time. I was trying to make it like heard. But it's hard to get overdrive grindy, but dead too at the same time. It's like difficult. A hard, you know what I'm saying? And so my whole life,
usually need a little bit of a high end on there to get that rasp. I gotcha. Yeah.
That's always been my problem, trying to fight that, you know. But I kind of figured it out live. At least I figured it out. But yeah, as far as like records in the past, I've used amps, and I've used like my exact gear I want to use, my heads, my pedals, everything, you know. This record, I kind of didn't worry about it. I just let the engineers and John kind of get the tone I wanted from what they had, you know, and the tone I want, you know. But I have a Fender 5 Jazz that I use for every recording. There's something about it. It's not like it's, you know, it's just I got it from the factory. It's just happens to be the best sounding bass I have for some reason, you know.
No, that's weird how that happens. I have like a shit ton of basses. I mean, for the most part, I use my custom because I went that route and kind of made what I wanted and tailored to myself. But
totally get that.
But then sometimes you're absolutely right. Like I'll pull up an old 70s P bass or something like that, and I'm like, for that track specifically, it just sounds better. You know.
Totally, I totally get that. Those old P basses too. Something about the wood. I don't know what it is. Something about the time and the wood. Yeah.
I think it's all the smoke that was being done in the studio, and it somehow got into the wood.
Yeah. Seriously though, maybe that's it. Yeah.
Who knows?
It's wild.
So you had Travis, and then you had Mark come in too. Did Mark just sing, or did you give him your jazz bass?
He just sang. He made fun of it because there's 5 strings on it. So.
Oh yeah, he doesn't mess with that.
No, too many strings. It's a guitar, he thought. But okay, Mark's awesome. Honestly, I mean, Travis is awesome. Such a great drummer. It was so much fun playing bass to that with Travis, you know.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then Mark coming down. Mark, he's great. He sang on all the choruses. It was great hearing him and listening to his ideas because he was kind of jamming with us, you know. And he's awesome dude. He's a super intelligent, awesome dude, you know.
Yeah, I mean that band, you could see through their success that they're not dummies, you know.
Not at all. Yeah, they're definitely not dummies.
Yeah, I haven't had the pleasure, aside from just like in passing, maybe at like Music and stuff like that, where you say, "Oh, hey, what's up?" in a big crowd, but I haven't like
totally
got to like sit down to talk to any of those dudes yet. But it's on my list.
I'm kind of similar. I'm not an outgoing, "Hey guys, what's up?" I'm like, "Oh, hey, I know him. Maybe he'll see me and maybe he'll say hi." You know?
That goes back to your introvertness.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Next song we did was that I actually slap on this song, which I didn't normally do, which is kind of funny. I'm not a slap bass player, so I slap on that one with Mark.
That's awesome. You still use flat wounds for this slap?
Yeah. Kind of weird.
That is kind of weird. I don't think I've heard that before. I'm really interested in that.
It's that same brightness I'm not trying to get. I can still make it bright, but it cuts. There's this like tinny tone that if I hear it, if you ever, you know, I don't know, it's like this for me, but if I ever play live and I'm playing terrible, it's like tinny sound that I can't stop thinking about. It's terrible. So I will fuck up complete shows. I'll ruin, like, you wouldn't believe it, like live recordings, because I'm like paying attention to the stupid tone that I can't ignore for some reason. But
and you can't do anything about too.
Yeah.
I've had those nights where some reason it's in your ear. I assume you use in-ears like these.
Oh yeah,
Molded.
yeah. I got
what you got on
I got
right
some
there.
in right now.
Yeah. So those, for whatever reason, you're on a different night. You got a different. We always had the same monitor board and everything, but for some reason you're in a different room or something, and it just to you it sounds great out in the crowd, but just to you it sounds a little different every night, and it can be maddening. That's why I drink, though. I start off and I'm just like, all right, I'm just gonna play the way I know how and not pay attention to that tone in my ears.
Yeah, that helps me. Yeah, that's why it's been weird not drinking for that reason.
It's the only reason.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought it. Go ahead, man.
Oh yeah, we did another song with. So this song was interesting. We did a song called "The Lottery." Okay, there's this outro, like almost like a bridge part to it that we kept messing with. We had this song completely done except for the bridge. We kept going over it again, and Bert was like, "It's not heavy enough." So then we try something else, and he was like, "It's not heavy enough," because as grown up, we all grew up as like hardcore kids, you know, like old Cave In, like Converge, like Coalesce, like all those kind of bands. That was like me and Bert, like that was like our thing, you know, like we loved that heavy hardcore stuff, you know, and so we were trying to get a song that kind of had that vibe to it, you know, a little bit, which is weird for the Used, you know, obviously, but
well, I mean, that was kind of like a lot on this record, though. Like I pointed out a few times, I'm like, you guys went a little heavier than I've heard.
That's how I feel too. We kind of did it, you know, at least got it through somehow. But yeah, we worked on this part over and over and over again, try to get heavier and heavier and heavier. We finally got it to where we want it. And then we wanted to have this guy from this other band come and sing on it, Knocked Loose, which is an awesome band. I've never heard Knocked Loose before, but they're
not familiar.
I'll check them out. It sounds like that old Cave In, like that old hardcore stuff that you're like,
okay,
you know. But we were trying to get him to come out and sing on it, but he was kind of too busy. They were touring constantly, you know, and so it just wouldn't line up, and we ran out of time, and we needed somebody else. And I've never met this guy before, but his name's Caleb Shormo from a band called Beartooth, right?
Okay, I know Beartooth, yeah.
Yeah, and our guitar player knew him and Feldman knew him. And so they called him up and he was into it to come down and jam on the record.
That's cool.
And his part is so good on that song. It's like one of the highlights of that song. But it's amazing that we got him and he fit in so perfectly, you know?
That's so rad. I'm glad to hear it. I'm liking all these collabs though. Like honestly, it's good to see in rock too that it's not just a hip hop thing anymore. We can do features too. It's pretty cool. It only takes us like 10, 15 years later, but you know.
I know, right? Yeah.
I do think it's great. It is great for music to see this, you know, like different avenues of camaraderie and help. Because I don't know if you remember this, like, but for a while, like in the early 2000s, it wasn't in the rock world. It really wasn't cool to like help each other out. It was more about we're battling against these other bands for supremacy in a lot of respects.
Yeah, I kind of got that vibe from it, which is sad. You know, I felt like I like the camaraderie. We're all in it together. We're all trying to win. You know, there's no like first place. It's you know, it's all the same. We're all trying to figure out music. You know.
Yeah, and it's so weird that happened for a while, dude. Do you have a green Hydro Flask like the Army? Literally the same color. That's
bass player thing.
Bass player thing for sure.
It's my favorite color of all time. Is this color?
I don't even know if it's my favorite color. I have like several of these different Hydro Flasks. I just happen to have this one right now.
I do too. I have two right here, and they're both the same color.
That's awesome. No, that's neither here nor there, but that is a pretty funny coincidence.
It's a bass thing.
Yeah, it's a bass thing. So we talked about like coming up together, doing those Warped tours back in the day. I remember watching you guys on stage. Even like, you guys were more on main stage by this point, but a few times you'd be on the Maurice. We'd be primarily on Maurice, and then a few times on the main stage back in like 2003, I want to say.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think that's exact, right?
Yeah. I remember watching you guys with all that energy and Bert jumping off the speakers into the crowd. You guys were just doing nutty shit. I mean, it was really cool. Over the years, you've still been a great live band, and I got to ask the question now, like, you got a new record out. The timing, was this always the time you were going to release the record and you're like, well, it's ready, let's just do it anyway? was there any discussion to postpone it because, you know, the likelihood of shows coming back for any kind of normalcy or anything like that is likely a year out at this point?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, unfortunately.
yeah.
We had this exact date, the 24th, set for a long time, and we had already had two singles out. I don't know if you'd call them singles anymore. I don't know what they were. We released 2 songs, and we already had plans. This whole setup was going on. We were supposed to have a record release party in LA that got canned. We were supposed to have a tour with a band through this whole time. That would probably be over right now, actually. We had a lot lined up, which I'm sure you did too. There was a lot lined up and a lot at stake.
Yeah, a lot of things changed. You know, we've been working on stuff. Everyone, I started doing this show about a year ago, and ever since, like, people are still going like, "Hey, when's the new record? When's the new record?" Because I started it kind of while we were writing. And I'm like, well, you know, first of all, we take a long time to write records. I don't know if you guys remember this, but we take a minute to write records.
That's a good thing, honestly.
Yeah. And then now with this happening, we're kind of just flipping our thumbs with what we got, seeing like what's the next step here. We got to kind of wait it out now and see what the next step is. But yeah, so you guys you're like, well, this is what we had planned. Let's go for it and see where the chips will lie, I guess, right?
Yeah, we kind of felt like there wasn't much choice. We had so much going on. We had a bunch of video ideas coming out. We released just that Cathedral Bell song. We released that with like a lyric video. And the funny thing about that song, if we released that at any other time, it would be an awesome song. But if we release, and I don't mean that, don't take that as like an ego thing. I'm just saying I like that song, so that's why I think it's an awesome song.
It's okay to it's okay to be in love with your children, I think.
Okay, yeah, well put. Yeah, so we released that song around I think it was a month ago. I can't remember exact times, but the cool thing about that song, releasing it during quarantine, is that the lyrical idea is kind of loosely based on being trapped. And so being trapped at home and hearing the song about being trapped is sort of a weird coincidence, you know? And
yeah.
And I think releasing that any other time wouldn't have the same impact. So just for my sake alone, even though we're not touring and even though this record came out in the middle of a quarantine, having that song come out during a quarantine makes me kind of happy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, it's by sheer coincidence, but sometimes when those stars align, man, it gives you a certain feeling about the art that you're putting out, right? And I think that's what you're talking about, and I would completely agree.
Nice.
So that's super rad. That's super coincidental. I love it. So wait, you guys are back on you're on Feldman's label though, right? Is that what label you guys are on now?
Yeah, we joined with we joined with them just forgot their label name. Oh God, don't tell Feldman.
You know, that's funny. I'm absolutely going to tell him. Good. No, this is
Big
a funny
noise.
story. He's coming on the show next Thursday.
Yeah, that's right.
This one airs, he's coming on the show, and I'm going to have a chat with him about that. I am definitely going to have to mention that, Jeff. I'm sorry that's happening.
No, I don't mind it at all. He wouldn't care. It's Big Noise. We joined with I almost said New Noise, and then I started thinking Refused, and I was like, oh God, that's not it. And I'm going to be stuck. But no, we joined with Big Noise is the name of the label, and so far just God, because we were with Hopeless for a long time. Before that, we were with Warner Reprise, and then we were with them for like 10 years. But honestly, joining with Big Noise, so far I've done more press on this record than I've done for maybe any record. And maybe it's because everybody's bored and stuck at home that they're just shooting press at me. You know, we'll make the bass player do it, you know?
Oh, I always get that one. Around.
Yeah, I don't want to do it.
I don't mind it. You're an introvert, so it'd probably bum you out. I'm an extrovert, so I actually don't mind. Okay. I'm like, yeah, let's have a chat, man. Let's do this.
That's cool. Yeah. I honestly don't mind if it's like, this is great. I would do this all the time. I don't have to be anywhere. I can be here and kind of in my safe spot, my safe zone.
Yeah.
Usually my safe zone's holding a bass, but you know, which I'm just pretending. But yeah, tons of press for this record, and Big Noise have been so awesome. Worldwide, we don't get a lot of love in certain countries. Okay. And it seems like this record alone, they've been pushing us in all these new countries that we haven't toured or we haven't played in a long time, or this record happens to be working in, you know?
Well, I mean, I guarantee it has a little bit to do with the content too. It's a really good record. But also, what are those countries you speak of though that aren't the biggest used fans at the moment?
Let's see. We did pretty good in Germany for a minute, and we haven't had that much luck. We hit it constantly for a while. For some reason, us in Europe, it's just not working. It hasn't worked, you know.
Mm-hmm.
This record seems to be hitting pretty hard in Germany, at least, which is awesome. And as far as I did an hour special. It was just me for an hour taking over a radio in Colombia, and we've never played Colombia, so I hope it did well.
Dude, that's rad. You gotta. It was pretty Colombia's cool. I haven't been to Colombia, but I heard it's awesome. So I'd
love to go. Yeah.
Yeah. You get those are the kind of countries that you hear like beautiful and all this kind of stuff, and you're like, oh, I can't wait to play there. It's like getting a paid vacation in a lot of ways.
No, totally, man. Yeah. Some of that, I love traveling. I love touring. So I feel like most of the time when I'm out of the country, I feel like I'm on a vacation. You know, yeah. Sometimes people don't like touring like certain states or countries or whatnot, you know, and I feel like the entire time I'm just in some kind of weird heaven thing.
Yeah, that's interesting from an introvert. I feel the same way, but that's because I like getting out. Well, I guess there's different ways to get out, right? You can get out just by yourself or like with your wife or something and doing that. I'm like, let's go to the bars. Let's go to the clubs. Let's go everywhere.
See, I'm like loner walking around by myself with my headphones on and like somewhere in Europe or Brazil or something, you know.
And just in love with it. You're just walking by.
I'm just happy.
Yeah.
Finding a restaurant, you know. Yeah.
Oh, the restaurants out in Europe are awesome, especially for some reason during the summertime. Even though they have the same food, but like when you're in Europe in the summertime and you're sitting out at the cafe and getting some good food, it's
awesome.
It makes those days off a lot more fun.
Oh yeah, no, totally.
Yeah. Since this album came out in quarantine, I know you said you're doing a lot of press. What else are you doing to pass the time? I know you're a big horror movie fan. Is there new ones that I need to check out that I haven't seen yet? I'm a super nerd. You know, I spend too much time not playing bass by getting sidetracked from other things. Okay. So, I've been watching tons of horror movies. I just watched, so do you remember Suspiria? Yeah. You might be saying, from like the old 70s, like kind of culty film. Yeah, someone brought that up to me the other day, and I was like, did they? It took me a second to remember, and I was like, I have seen it, because I went and looked at it. I'm like, I have seen this movie. I don't remember much about it, though. They just made a new, like an Amazon version. If you have Amazon Prime, they just made a new one, and it's like an hour longer, and it's awesome. Actually, I just finished watching it today, and it's I want to say it's better because it's updated, but not always. Remakes are not always better. Sometimes they downgrade them, but this one I thought was really good. Yeah, maybe it's all the music is done by Tom York too, which is wild. It's worth watching. It's dark. Okay. I mean, dark. I like horror movies too, and most of them tend to be pretty dark, so I'll check it out. Yeah, fair enough. Well said. And not all of them. Not all of them are creative. I'm a big fan of the horror movies that make you chuckle too. Like my favorite of the monsters is Freddy Krueger, because cool. Yeah. I mean, he was awesome in the first one. It was definitely scary with Depp when he's killing Depp, and then but like a few movies later, he's making these awesome puns while he's killing these kids, and I'm like, I love that. This is brilliant. Yeah. Did you ever get into like the Army of Darkness, Evil Dead? Oh yeah. Did you ever see any of those? Big time. Did you see the TV show, The Ash vs. Evil Dead? I never watched. I always saw it pop up on it was on like A&E or whatever it was on. It's Sci-Fi. So good. And I didn't. So good. I just never got around to it. Unfortunately, my wife doesn't share a lot of the same movie choices that I do, so I miss out on stuff because you got to watch what she's gonna watch too when you're gonna sit down and watch something. You're out on the road for several months. I could watch then, and then I come back home, and now all the compromises start happening. Totally get it. Yeah, my wife doesn't like horror movies either. It's too much for her. So. Yeah, you got to find that. You got to find it. She likes some horror movies. It's just when it gets when she likes the darker ones. See. So if I go to like the silly ones, like Army of Darkness route, she's like, I don't care about this. I'm like, okay. I get it. Okay. She likes dark. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Interesting. Yeah. I don't know how that worked out. She also listens to like pop music. So. Oh wow. Like, and predominantly pop. Doesn't even like Avenged Sevenfold. I don't even know why she's my wife. Actually, my wife's similar. She listens to music that I feel like is way cooler than I could ever be. You know, like all my music taste comes from shit she's showing me that I'm like, oh my God, I love that. What is that? She's like, oh, it's this
Ethiopian jazz dude. Like, this might be my favorite music I've ever heard, you know?
That's so rad. I love that. I love that. Well, we're going to have a deeper conversation where we could do this again in person. I'll let you go. And hopefully, I wish you nothing but great success on this record. And hopefully you guys get to play some of these songs live sooner than later, because we'd all be looking forward to that. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. It was awesome talking to you, too. Yeah, man. It's just good to see you again. Been too long. Definitely good to see you. Well, yeah, definitely. Well, let's not wait another 2 years for this. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Hopefully in person if this quarantine never goes away. Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll see you then, brother. And thanks again. Oh, you're off the grid, so you probably don't. But do you have any social medias you want to pimp out right here? I have the Instagram virtual Jepha that I don't ever go on. Okay. You know, and if I do, it's there. I'll post a picture if I'm out in the field and I can get service. But other than that, you know, you can't really talk to me on it or anything. You can just look at a random picture. But if you want to look at some random picture, then it's virtual Jepha. Okay. But other than that, that's all I do. Perfect, no Facebook, no problem. Yeah, and you can find all the used socials pretty easy too, because you guys have all those. Oh yeah. And the .coms and, you know, just type in the used in a Google search, people. It's not that hard. Totally. At the used on Instagram or I don't even know if we have a Twitter. Does anybody have a Twitter anymore? Yeah, I guess they do. Yeah, Trump does, which sucks. So you're saying all the wrong people have Twitter? I've got a Twitter for the show, not personally. I would say horrible things on there, I'm sure. Right? They don't like that. All right, brother. Good talking to you. Well, great talking to you. I'll hit you up later. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Thanks again. As always, till next time. Cheers.